Are you looking to optimize your Amazon PPC campaigns and don't know where to start? In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the Amazon PPC search term report to uncover the data that allows you to make optimization decisions to lower your ACoS. We'll also review how to identify these high-performing search terms, eliminate wasteful spending, and boost your product visibility like never before. Whether you're a seasoned seller or just starting out, these insights will help you dominate your niche and skyrocket your sales. So grab a notebook and stay tuned. I'm Rick Wong, an Amazon seller and also the founder of SellerMetrics, an Amazon marketing agency. I invite you to subscribe to content such as this one, where we do deep dives on the latest Amazon news, tips, and hacks. Okay, so let's just talk about the Amazon PPC search term reports. So basically the search term report that I'm talking about is the report that is like the most granular level of Amazon PPC data available, which is the search term right here. Search term, as the name suggests, is basically the customer searches on the Amazon search bar. So if an Amazon type a certain result, so let's just say dog treats, for example, basically what get reported on the search term report is basically the actual customer searches, the direct customer searches when they search for a certain item, and if they click on the PPC for that particular search, it would be recorded on the search term report. It is basically a direct path to the end customer data. That is why it's really impactful and very helpful and has very valuable insights for any Amazon PPC manager or an Amazon seller in general. Sorry to interrupt this video, but I've written a book on Amazon advertising. In it, you will get 250 pages of content written by me. No ChatGPT, no ghostwriting, just me writing down my 8 years of best practices on the Amazon advertising platform. It is currently the best-selling book on this topic on Amazon, but my audience here can get a free ebook version by opting in on the link below. So how you actually get the data is that you are going to go to measurements and reporting. This is on the ad console. You're going to go to the sponsor ads report, and then you're going to go to create report, and then it would be the search term report. The search term report that I will be demoing on my spreadsheet right here would be the sponsored products category search term. So basically anything I do right now would apply to sponsored brand search term report as well. It's basically the same as the sponsored products search term report, but it just maybe has different columns than the actual sponsored product. So this is what we're going for, and you're going to select at least 30 days, not less than 30 days. Then I don't think you might not have enough data to make informed decisions. I would at least look for last 60 days data, and then you are going to run the report. Once the report gets fully loaded after it gets processed, so you complete it right here, you can download report as like a CSV file, and then you could do further analysis by either using a Excel spreadsheet or using a Google Sheet. In this particular demo, I am going to demo the Google Sheet right here. And all you have to do is that you're gonna import the file that you downloaded. Basically, it's gonna show up like this. And the column that we are mostly concerned about is this one right here, the customer search term. So this is very important data. And the gist of this entire report is basically this column right here. These are customer search results that resulted in any like advertising action. If I were to go to Amazon.com, do a search, click on an ad, you'll see the actual data being collected here. And there's like a vast variety of searches. Some are just like really long tail. Some could be like a bit weird. You can see some weird search terms sometimes, but I don't really see it in my particular search term report. But I'm pretty sure if you drill into your search term data long enough, you'll just find some search terms that you're very surprised at how they're actually searched. Those are very good insights to the customer psychology, what they're searching for, and what particular search term are converting. This is the reason why I love this particular report. It gets very granular and basically is a direct path to the customer search result. It's also worth noting that search term does not equal to keywords, right? There are basically a one-to-many relationship between the search term and also the keywords. You can see it play out between column I and column G, right? So the targeting basically could be the keyword, and the customer search term is a search term. So you can see, for example, here you can see like for the one keyword, customer monitor amount, broad match type, you can see like there's 5 different variation of this particular keyword and match type combination. So you can see the variety of search term. So keywords and search term, they're not the same thing. When people talk about search term, keyword, that is the key difference. So let's do an overview of the data a little bit. You see like this whole spreadsheet, it could get very overwhelming. It's basically, it looks like a wall of data. But I think what we can do is compress it to the specific columns that we actually need to do our analysis. So the columns that we need to basically concentrate on is the following. It would be this one right here, impressions, clicks, spend. So that's how we spend for a particular click, for example. 7 days, total sales, basically the sales number in your ad console. And then there's also the order number that you are also need to be aware of. So these are basically the key columns that you really need to concentrate on in this like wall of text. These particular columns will allow you to calculate main Amazon advertising KPIs, such as click-through rates, cost per click, conversion rates, and ACoS, right? So basically, from this raw data, those are the specific columns that we need for our analysis. Before we do some analysis on this data, there's also a very important step that we need to do before we perform additional analysis, and that is to aggregate the data from this particular reports, right? So you do notice that this report is reporting from different date ranges, right? And also from different match type combination, right? So if you do some analysis, like looking at any data in isolated rows, it would not give you the complete picture. So you need to aggregate the multiple rows of the search term value. So you can see like right here, like multiple rows of the same search term. So what you need to do is you need to aggregate the data from all of the similar search term and make sure that your search term value right here are unique and aggregated by these like key metrics that we just highlighted. So these are the key numbers that we need to aggregate. So we would make decision, the optimization based on the aggregate data of the specific search term and not by this individual row. So how do we do this? So we're going to do something called a pivot table on the Google Sheet. So the pivot table, all you have to do is highlight all the raw data, and then you're going to go to insert, pivot table, new sheet, and that is your pivot table. So how are we going to aggregate the data based on the search term on this pivot table? So all you have to do is you are going to place the search term under rows, and then for the rest, you're going to do the values. You're going to add it under values. So that would be the impressions, clicks, basically the rows that I just highlighted previously. Impression, clicks, spend, sales, and then orders. So let me see if I actually got everything correct. Impression, clicks, spend, sales, and order. Yep, seems correct. And then we do want to look at the key data first. So when I say key data is basically the search term that has attribute to the most spend. So I'm gonna go here in this row and by order descending, and I want it by spend. That would tell me that this particular search term attributed to the highest spend of $28. Let's just clear this up a little bit, the header for the pivot table. So this would be impressions, clicks, right? So it won't be sum of, that sounds a little weird. Spend, sales, and then orders. So basically with these columns now, we could do the calculation on the key KPIs that we just talked about. So that would be click-through rate, conversion rate, cost per click, and ACoS. So let's just do that calculation now. So that would be click-through rate, CTR, conversion rates, ACoS, and cost per click. So how we do click-through rate. So click-through rate is basically clicks divided by impressions. So that would be C divided by B2, right? And so that would be a percentage. Conversion rate, orders divided by clicks. So that's a conversion rate. And then your ACoS would be your spend divided by your sales. And then your cost per click would be your spend divided by click. And then you could just drag down the data. So I'll actually make sure that I format it properly. So these two will be percentages. So these are your metrics for these particular search terms. So the next part after we do this pivot table is that we're going to do some additional analysis called benchmarking. We are going to calculate your KPI for the account as a whole, because not all accounts are created equal. For example, a 5% conversion rate might be good for one account, but it might not be good for another account. So Knowing your benchmark will allow you to compare search terms that are good or bad relative to your account's overall performance. Therefore, we're going to look inside the particular information we're going to look at is like the grand total information here. This would be like your benchmark information more or less. So it's also important to look into different benchmarks. So there's a different benchmark between different subcategory of keywords. So branded versus non-branded, and also keywords versus product targeting. So those are like a segmentation that we really need to look into. Let's actually look into the benchmarking. I've actually created this spreadsheet that basically calculates our aggregate value. So our benchmark for our entire account is the CTR is 4.85. Conversion rate is around 12%, ACoS 40%, cost per click around 80 cents. So those are our overall account benchmarks. So the idea is that if any of our search term does better than the benchmark, then we know for sure that it's good for our account. And that's something that we want to like increase or amplify. As I mentioned, you want to also segment these metrics as well, because a lot of times the branded keywords can basically sugarcoat the performance of your non-branded keywords. So let's actually go into our pivot table and do some additional analysis. So let's go over here. Let's look at our non-branded metrics. So what is our brand name? So our brand name is called Hello Baby. We need to, on our pivot table right here, add a filter. So we're going to add search term as our filter. And basically what we're going to do is that we try to clear out anything that has Hello Baby, right? We want to clear that. And basically right now we have cleared out anything that has Hello Baby in it. And basically what's left is our data, or CTR conversion rate, and also our ACoS data for our non-branded keywords. So this is our non-branded benchmarks, right? This is basically allow us to net out our non-branded information. So the other segment of metrics that we want to look at is keywords versus product targeting. Let's look at the keyword metrics. How we actually going to do this is we're going to add an additional filter, and that would be the match type. So the match types is basically, these are our keyword match type that we are going to go for: broad, exact, and phrase. So what we're going to go for is basically anything that is our non-branded keywords, anything that has our brand in it in the search term, and also the actual row itself also is only of broad, exact, or phrase match. So that would filter it even more. And this is our metrics for our keyword metrics for non-branded keyword data. Okay, so now that we have our key benchmarks, so we know exactly what is good metrics for us. So anything that is like higher than CTR of 4.48, a conversion rate higher than 17%, an ACoS of 37. Anything that matches this particular criteria and above, we know these are our very good search terms. Now, with our benchmark in place, now we're able to analyze what's good and what's bad data. So let's look at what's bad data. Let's look at a search term that we've basically wasted money on. If you look at our data right here, so anything that is our key benchmark is here is 12%. So if you work out the reverse math of that, so 1 divided by this amount would be around 8. So anything that is above 8, right? Any search term that has above 8 clicks and no orders, and I would look at it and say, okay, do we really want to continue to bid on the search term? Because it's already gotten 8 clicks. If you actually do the reverse math of the conversion rate, so that would be 1 divided by the conversion rate, you'll see, yeah, you need at least 8 clicks to make a conversion. Anything that is like above 8, way more than 8, or maybe above 10, that's something that I would really look at closely. Let's look at like situations where that is happening. So we are going to go to clicks, anything greater than 8 clicks, and where orders is equals to 0. Okay, these are the ones that we really will look at intently as something that we potentially want to add as negative. So how can we actually add these as negatives? There's really 2 ways. So the first way is basically you could actually just go on to the actual front end of the ad console and basically go into these campaigns and just add these as like a negative keywords. Add this as negative exact. If it's product, add as a product, and then add keywords and then save. So that's the first way. The second way is that you could use like a bulk file to actually add these negations in bulk. I'm not going to show you do that in this video, but I actually made a comprehensive video of how to actually do that. I'll put it on the link below. It's very detailed in terms of how you actually do it. And if you actually have a lot of negative search term to add, that's a very good and efficient way to actually do it if you actually use the bulk operations here. So check out that particular link to that video if you actually want to learn how to do that. Now that we got like the poor performance out of the way, now let's look for opportunities to improve. Let's look for situations where the search term has like a higher than our benchmark metrics for keywords for CTR, conversion rate, and also ACoS. Basically, we're going to do the very same filters, but instead of filtering for 0 orders and also the number of clicks, we are going to filter for number 1, conversion rate, the ACoS, and CTR. Again, if you filter all these 3 and don't get too much results, maybe you could loosen up a bit and you don't really need to filter for one of, for example, the CTR metrics. I think the most important thing in Amazon advertising and also Amazon in general is conversion rate. So if Amazon see your conversion rate is good, then it's easier to advertise. If you are going after keywords that gives you a higher conversion rate versus one that doesn't give you a high conversion rate. And you see this play out also in basically ranking on the A9 algorithm as well. I would put the most emphasis on the conversion rate. Second emphasis I would put is ACoS, because we're doing paid marketing performance. That's the important. Third, and that would be CTR right here. So let's just filter for conversion rate first. So on the conversion rate, so anything that is ACoS that is less than or equal to 36. But you can see like all these ones that has 1 orders. A lot of times you could by fluke make 1 order on 1 click. So we definitely want to look at situations that it attributed to something that is statistical significant. So that would mean that if you work out the reverse math that we just talked about, 8 clicks would be statistical significant for this account. To actually see some conversions, at least on average, we need to see 8 clicks. So that is also the additional filtering criteria that I would go for. So here we go. So we have now filtered down to the particular search term that is doing really well for us relative to our benchmark targets, like right here. So these particular search terms, I would make sure to add them into my campaigns and amplifying them by adding them as number 1, not only just exact match, but phrase match, and also broad match as well. And basically just amplifying these, put more budgets into these particular search terms because these are doing well for us relatively to like our benchmark metrics. And if you actually get a lot of results for this after the thorough filter, again, you could do the conversion rate CTR filter. Anything that is like higher than 4.4, 4.85, that would eliminate this one right here. If there's more, right, you could also put them into, say, helium 10 and prioritize it by search volume. So that would be the keyword research right here. Analyze keywords, and then it will give you the search volume right here. So you can see 2 of them doesn't really have too much search volume. I would concentrate on the ones that have a lot, relatively higher search volume. So you actually have a lot of data. Those are the filtering criteria that you go through to minimize the results and basically go for the cream of the crop of your search term data. To summarize, what we do is just collect data. Basically, we download it from our ad console, from our sponsored ad reports. Download the data, aggregate the data using a pivot table. So that's number 2. Number 3, we perform our benchmarks. So our benchmarks is basically right here. We aggregate all the data from our search term report and then calculate the metrics by its entire account, also segregated by non-branded data and also by its non-branded keyword data. And basically these would form our benchmarks. Using this benchmark, the final step is that using our benchmarks, we could do the filtering on our pivot tables to come up with number 1, wasted search term. So I show you how to do that. Basically, we're going to reverse engineer the conversion rate, find anything that has 0 order. And then number 2, basically we can filter based on the benchmark for our non-branded keywords for additional opportunities, basically for search terms that are performing good for you relatively to your account benchmarks. I hope this video pulls the curtains on how an Amazon ad expert such as myself look into search term reporting, and it actually shows you how important this reporting is to us. You can also follow along in this video for yourself and basically do this same analysis on your own time and also to be able to do it correctly. Lastly, if you're an Amazon seller or a brand owner that wants to grow your Amazon business, schedule a discovery call with me on the link below. We are an Amazon marketing agency that helps our client grow their business profitably. Until the next time, keep selling, keep hustling. I'll catch you in the next video. This is Rick signing off.